Project Sapient is a podcast meant to engage our brothers and sisters in the law enforcement and military communities in conversations that we all know we need to have. All opinions you'll hear are our own, are protected by our First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and in no way reflect or are meant to reflect the opinion of any specific agency, officer, or service member. Some opinions may be controversial. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy.
Hello.
Hi, Ayman.
How are you?
What's going on?
You know, the usual crap.
Are you okay?
yeah, I'm good.
Savage. Guys, Project Sapient, thank you for listening. Thank you to subscribing to our channel on YouTube,
Rock on.
Facebook, everywhere on all your podcast platforms. We want to thank our supporters. First and foremost, Havoc Journal, GymJunkies.com, VectorShields.com, LiveBoston617.org, WellnessForWarriors.live, doing amazing work. Thank you, everybody, with thousands of listeners.
Yeah, we are.
YouTube's
everywhere.
growing.
Yeah.
This is awesome, man.
Awesome.
So, what are we doing this week, brother?
All right, so we're continuing from last episode, I believe we did.
Good
about,
episode.
my deployment in Iraq, kind of like the
Yup.
first time landing and maybe my first couple months in country.
Yes.
So now we're going to continue on of kind of the continuation of that article. So with Havoc Journal, it turned, we kind of did it as a 3-part series, if you want to call it.
Ooh, a series.
Yeah, exactly. So this one I wrote May 8th of 2020. So
Let's get it up. Ready?
Yeah.
Giggity.
There it is.
Giggity.
Middle Eastern veteran struggle with his own community.
Yes. Is that you?
No, I think that's one of my guys.
Those are cool glasses.
Yeah.
Goggles.
Yeah, the old school.
They are old school.
So in this article, I basically go into what it was like to be in the military and struggle within my own community, Middle Eastern community. So I start out by talking about how my squad drives along MSR, which stands for Major Supply Route.
You say route?
Route.
Must be a cultural thing.
Something.
I say route.
Okay, well, I'll say route too. Route, whatever. So
cool whip.
Yeah, cool whip. So MSR Dover, en route to Camp Anaconda. I'm standing at the gunner's position wearing my face mask and goggles. Now, face mask is because of all the dust that we inhale. Yep. Uniform, sweat from the desert heat trickles down my face and back. Wearing a 50-pound, or in reality 60-pound IBA, which is our armor, with extra ammo. My M16 right next to me in case my trusty 50 cal fails.
The trusty 50 cal.
Oh, yeah.
Tear a human being to shreds.
We don't shoot humans. We shoot objects. I'm wearing, so we approach a one-lane bridge, and the Iraqi army have the traffic stopped on both sides. My squad temporarily stops to assess the situation. Our battalion commander wanted me to ask the Iraqis that's standing next to us, what's going on? So I talked to them in Arabic. And
they're like, holy shit.
Well, the Iraqi soldier looked perplexed at first, and he stops me and says, I don't speak English, even though I just spoke to him in Arabic. It didn't register.
You fucked him up right away.
Oh, yeah, no, he was like, dumbfounded.
Brain cells were fucking going nuts.
I mean, if you could see smoke and drool coming out of him, probably that's what happened.
Like me this morning.
Yeah. So, again, I responded. I said, okay, how about we speak in Arabic? And he smiles. He's like, okay.
He's like, no hablo español.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, we're speaking Arabic here, dude.
Yeah.
So he goes ahead and he says, hey, how about we speak Arabic? And he explains that, there was a situation on the bridge, and it was all good and good to go. So these were one of many encounters I had overseas in Iraq, and the Iraqis were used to see civilian translators embedded with U.S. soldiers. One thing they could not get used to was an actual American soldier who spoke Arabic. It could not.
It wasn't registering.
It just could not register with them. So what was it like for me to enlist? I was met with fierce opposition by my local Middle Eastern community, and that is what I'm saying at the U.S., so at home. I was called everything from the enemy, traitor, bad son, bad example for the younger generations. I could hear about. I would hear about fathers going to religious figures in the community asking advice on their sons so they wouldn't end up like me. I put that in
Now,
quotations.
let me stop you. This is here
Here,
in the United States of America.
yeah, in the U.S.
Fathers were going to the religious leaders and asking them.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say to that.
dude, I'm like, I was with you. So. All the opposition and fighting, all it did was fuel the fire in me to join. So I ended up enlisting in the National Guard. I chose to serve part-time for two reasons. One, I wanted to graduate college, but also I wanted to at least appease my local community by not just getting up and leaving, going, full-time active duty. So part of it was like, all right, let me compromise here and try this route.
Would you have done it differently in hindsight?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have gone full active.
Full active.
Yeah, full active. But, again, me being, 21, 22 at the time and still pressured with the way you get oldest son in the culture, all that stuff. So I still had a lot of pressure that I had to deal with on that end. So at boot camp, I was alone. Now going to boot camp, I was alone. I didn't get many letters from home. When I was allowed to make phone calls, they were very brief, awkward.
So were you shunned?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like from the family?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And how are they, not to jump forward, but how are they now with it?
They are...
Do they, refuse to believe it?
Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird...
Dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good word, actually. Weird dynamic. So at boot camp again, I didn't. So when I graduated, and then coming up, I was about to graduate from boot camp, and I'll never forget. I called home and I tell my my family, hey, I'm graduating. You guys can come down. It's a whole ceremony that the Army puts together and all that. Because, I went away for about 3 months, boot camp and the school of field artillery I was at. So we were given graduation dates where families can stay. Here's the hotel information. Here's this. Here's the flight info if you need it, whatever. I was told that no one was coming.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, all right.
See, in a way, it's not surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because of my cultural background. Yeah. I'm not Lebanese, right? But our cultures are very similar.
Yeah.
Right. And to turn it just for a second into law enforcement.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in Lebanon, but in Europe, or in a lot of Europe, policing is looked down on.
Yeah.
It's looked down on. It's not professional. I mean, most of these countries are socialists.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like a national police. It's like part of the military. So it's completely different than what it is here.
Yeah.
But a lot of the older Greeks coming here, like the generation before me, my parents' generation, for example, almost looked down on you being a cop.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, oh, you can't do anything else. Mm-hmm. You're going to be the cop and you're an asshole. Because, overseas, cops are treated much differently.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's I don't know if you know this, there's rioting in Greece right now. There's 4 cops that are in intensive care and everybody's like, we don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here we'd have an uprising.
Yeah, yeah.
But is it because of did they look at the military the same way? Because the reason I'm asking is because in Greece the military is looked at differently than law enforcement.
Yeah.
Like you have to serve in the military. You have to. It's like a proud thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to them, yeah, I'm sure they would have wanted me in the Lebanese military because that's a pride thing for them.
Right.
Rather than here in the U.S.
Did you ever mention that to them? Like, hey, all right, I won't join the U.S. military. Let me go the Lebanese military.
No.
How do you guys like that?
No.
I mean, this is your country.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
I kind of made up my decision. I'm like, no, this is where I'm serving.
I get it.
And just and also there was the side that it was I started looking into it before September 11th, and then especially after September 11th, then I really pushed. I'm like,
it fueled you.
Yeah, it's time to go. Like any other younger guy or girl in my generation, we just joined after because the country called for fighters, and we were like, hell yeah, let's go. So
the cultural differences, like we see it on the street, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're from. You're going to be treated differently. Mm-hmm. But the difference is in the States, soldiers are revered.
Yes.
Right? the police departments are treated differently based on whether you're Dominican or Puerto Rican or Spanish or Lebanese or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so I could see what you're saying, and I'm only playing devil's advocate. I can almost see why the family did that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with the military. They also thought about, you know, Afghanistan ramped up, and then Iraq is in the horizon. And, you know, they were like, oh, you're going to go back. And, you know, some of the comments was, oh, you're going to go back and fight your own people. I was like, well, my own people, those Al-Qaeda types aren't my people.
They're not my people.
They're not my people.
Right.
So I'm going to go over there to fight them because they're not
so
human.
You were kind of seeing it as, you know what, I'm doing my part for my country here and my people there.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally get it.
Exactly. So you know, a year and a half later, so I graduated, went back home, no fanfare, no family congratulating me. I was just, hey, he's back. You know, that's about it.
And at the same time, I'm sure it didn't matter to you.
No,
right?
it didn't. At that point, I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, because it's just,
I'm doing my job.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
doing my job, whatever.
Right.
So year and a half later, I get my orders to go to war. I was both excited and scared. Obviously, it's like, holy shit, you know, this is real. When I remember when I got those orders, it's like, now there's
no
real.
turning back.
It says you've been ordered, but you know, blah 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 blah, and it says operation. Then it says Operation Iraqi Freedom. I'm like, yep,
it's real.
It's real. You know, the ramp up and everything. And so my family, on the other hand, were not happy. So you know, I understand. You know, what parent would want to see their child go off to war?
Right.
It's an understandable thing. So, and then at that point, I also dealt with backlash from my family and community. And at this point, I knew what to expect from them, though. You know, they would not understand why I had to go. For me, it was my duty to go and fight. It was about my fellow soldiers out there. It was also about helping and protecting those who were not part of that fight. You know, so I knew the language, knew the culture.
Right.
And I would be, you know, helpful to my unit and the civilians I would encounter. And, you know, little did I know how much of an impact I would have when I got there. I mean, I explained, like, in the previous episode when we first went to that French embassy, and I mean, we got hooked up big time.
Right.
You know, when the Iraqi army saw that there's an actual U.S. soldier who spoke Arabic, and, you know, it was a great
Well, they were also trying to butter you up, too.
Well,
right?
yeah, I mean, sure. I was like, right. You know, I'm the friendly Middle Eastern U.S. soldier, you know, and part of it too is they had no idea what to make of me because they thought I was CIA. I was like this counter-terror CIA operative who will put them at Gitmo for the rest of their lives. Which,
let's be nice to him.
Yeah, which I would, but if they played for the wrong team, I always say, play for Team America. You know, play for Team America.
Yeah, we'll take care of you.
Yeah, exactly. So now, you know, the part 2 of this in this article is a Middle Eastern veteran caught between two cultures.
Who's the savage that I'm looking at?
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah, again.
How old are you there?
Young me. That's 23-year-old me. 23-year-old me.
That was what, like 30 years ago?
Oh, my God, yeah. Feels like it. Totally
You didn't
feels
see
like
what
it.
I did there. Savage. And who are these guys?
A couple of Iraqis we got to talk. Actually, they were I forget exactly what we were doing, but it must have been a checkpoint or something. Got them out.
Okay.
Had a little conversation with them. Friendly guys.
So was it always, anytime you engaged anybody there, were they always like, fuck, who is this guy?
Oh, yeah, no. It was first the confusion.
Yeah.
Like, what are the words coming out of his mouth?
Right.
I recognize them.
It's not processing.
I don't know them.
Right.
You know, so it's like...
and your dialect is perfect, right?
So my dialect is Lebanese. So the Iraqi dialect is a lot different than the Lebanese.
Okay.
Right. So if you want to think Spanish in Spain versus Spanish in Mexico.
Okay.
You know
what
I mean?
I get you. I get you. But you're going to communicate.
We are going to communicate. So
right.
So the Middle Eastern world is funny like that, where the Saudis have a completely different, Iraqis different, Lebanese is different, Egyptian is different, Libyan... I could never understand a Libyan or an Algerian.
Really?
I've tried talking to a couple of guys that I've met over the years, you know, throughout my life, who are Libyan and Algerian. Good luck.
No shit.
Oh yeah,
and it's
Arabic.
the same language.
It's the same language. It's just their
Different,
dialect
yeah.
is so hard to understand. So the Iraqis, it took me about a month to acclimate to their dialect.
Right.
Right. So, and the way I did it is I talked to a lot of the Iraqi contractors that were on base.
Yep.
Talk to them, just start to get used to how their mannerisms, and how they talk.
Right.
Because in the Iraqi language, they have extra letters in the Arabic alphabet.
Okay. I'd heard that.
So yeah, so certain words for them is different. Like for let's say, I'm gonna say I'm talking, or you're talking. All right. So in Arabic, I would say I'm behki. So, but in Iraqi, it'd be like I'm behki. Like, just
I got you. So there's slightly like a twang almost.
Yeah,
right?
almost. And the Lebanese is very. It's kind of like American version of Arabic, versus
standardized almost.
No, not standardized. So you have the British English, right?
Gotcha.
And then you got the American
Red coat
English.
weirdos.
Yeah. Then you got the American English.
Yeah.
Lebanon is sort of the same way, where it's a lot more modernized.
But then it's also just kind of like the U.S., where somebody's from Boston, somebody's from Connecticut.
Oh yeah, I'll know.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. The minute someone opens their mouth at me, I'll know exactly.
It's the same thing in Europe, dude.
Yeah.
Greece is the same thing. Like sometimes I hear the Northerners speak, and I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
The fuck are they saying?
Yeah. That's the same thing with me. Northern Lebanon is the north. You're like, oh yeah, you're definitely from the north, just by the
Southern
accent.
Greeks are the real Greeks, just in case anybody's.
Southern Lebanese are the real Lebanese, also. So
I love it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Dirty South.
All right, so let's go back into the Middle East.
So go back to Middle East. So actually, that picture that was actually a picture I took through my night vision goggles, and you see how bright the stars are?
Yeah. That's the first thing I noticed.
And what's great is because over there's no light pollution. So in the middle of the night, when on a not a single cloud up, I'll take my night vision and literally you can see the cosmos. It's like you can see the satellites, you can see everything. It was actually
the mortars and the
whatever. The tracers.
Tracer rounds. Oh, it's a shooting star. No, that's a tracer.
Exactly. So now, so in this one, actually, so it was in the middle of the night, and the Iraqi desert was cold. It was cold, which is kind of funny to say. But cold in the Iraq, like, so during the day it'll be 120 degrees, but at night it drops to 50. And what you're wearing is full thermals, full winter jacket, because it's freaking freezing. So
during the day your body's acclimating to the weather too, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. So and what's funny is to see the burn barrels, everyone huddled around the burn barrels on base at 50 degrees.
You're like, back in Boston, this is a fucking summer day,
dude. Dude, it was the funniest thing. So anyway, the Praetorians, my beloved Praetorians and Spartan 6, we are brothers for life. We were conducting a combat patrol during the Iraqi election. So the Iraqi election obviously is a very, 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 very tense time.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not like here. I'll tell you right now.
A little bit.
The election over there is life and death for those who go to vote.
Were they? At what point did they start doing the paint?
That was the first.
That was the first election?
That was the first election. So
I had seen that.
So here's what's funny. Ballots, right? Over here they talk about ballots and blah, 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 illegal ballots and everything. So over there, we had to assist the Iraqi army with securing the ballots and moving them to a central location undisclosed.
Okay.
Because it is such.
It was going to get hit.
Well, here's the thing. The Iraqis are introduced to this freedom of picking your elected official, and it's so brand new to them that the opportunity for these terrorists to do, or even not so much terrorists, insurgents, or even factions, to try to disrupt it.
The human nature of disrupting it, I get it.
Is very, very high.
Right.
So we. Oh, I got a funny story about that one because I'll never forget. It's one thing like I'll never forget. So now with the election, the night of, there's an all-out curfew.
Okay.
Mandate to stay home.
Okay.
There shouldn't be a friggin' single car out on the road. If it is, it's going to get stopped, and we're going to toss it upside down, inside out, and send the person back home. So we have, we're dressed like that. We have all our lights off. We got the night vision going, and we see a convoy of vehicles coming. We're like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
We had no idea who it was. So now we're like, oh shit, this must be like a force that's trying to hit, one of the convoys with the election and everything.
Ballot boxes.
So we set up an ambush site. to kind of wait out and see who's coming.
Who the fuck it is, right?
And as we're setting up and it's coming closer. Now we see RPGs, people with RPGs and freaking, the AKs. We're starting to make distinct.
So now you're like, oh shit, it's coming.
Oh shit, it's coming. Exactly. Sure enough, it was actually the Iraqi army, and the guy who was leading it, who actually died a couple years later, I guess, from what I learned. But he was a Iraqi army major. And he was the front of the convoy, and he gets out and greets us.
Yeah.
And that was the same guy we just did the safety brief with.
No shit.
During the day.
No shit.
So we're like, whoo! I'm like, okay.
Lucky motherfuckers.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was in charge. They had the ballots, and they were going from point A to point B to pick up more ballots and whatnot. So it was like, that was a hairy situation because it was like, oh, Jesus. Because we don't have radio comms with them.
It could have gone south.
Yeah, they don't have radio comms with us. So it was kind of like, all right, well, at least we recognize who it was, and they went. So off they went, and so one of the gunners, as the night moves on, we notice one of the gunners notices someone down the road, down the ways, digging by the side of the road.
Oh, just digging? Setting a fucking garden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're like, all right, let's sneak up on him. So as we moved closer to him, he ran. He heard the noise. Again, it's the desert. There's not a sound. I mean, you can hear footsteps, if you know what I mean. Right. So he took off running. So we caught up to the area where he was, and we saw it was an IED that he was putting together. I still have a picture of that IED. Through the nods, and it was a 155 round, which is a big 100-pound, 100-pound artillery round.
Yeah, that would have done a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, that he was trying to disrupt the ballots. And again, I find it funny, like over here, all the ballot talk and all that crap, and I'm like, yeah, over there they use IEDs and all kinds
to blow you up.
Yeah, to blow you up, and
the fucking temperature in the ballot area wasn't nice.
Yeah, exactly. So
fucking people, man. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all right. So he ran off. We ended up clearing the mud huts in the village looking for him. So as we went through each hut, I would order the occupants to keep their hands where we could see them. And unfortunately, we weren't able to look for him. So it's a funny story here is while we were clearing, these poor guys and families, right? So the desert, again, unforgiving type environment. Usually you'll find families that they were set up in like the living rooms sleeping, not so much in their bedrooms and stuff. It's all mud huts, right? It's villages. So we're walking through clearing each village, each mud hut. And a dad would like wake up and he's like, oh shit, and we're like, I'm telling them. And I remember the battalion commander telling me, he's like, hey, tell them it's okay. They can go back to bed. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this family's probably not going to sleep the rest of the night. They just had 14 American soldiers.
Fucking baboons going through their house.
Exactly. Fucking guns, grenades, whatever. Yeah. And all they see is one soldier speak in Arabic say, shh. Go back to sleep.
Bad fucking dream, dude.
You're okay. Nothing. So, exactly. So thinking about it, you're like, again, years later, I laugh because it's like, how can you tell the family to go back to sleep?
Right.
So, anyways, in the end, so we went back to the area where we initially saw him and saw it was an IED that he was assembling. So it was safe. It was safe enough to be close because it wasn't.
He didn't complete it.
Yeah, it wasn't completed, nothing like that. So we called in EOD to get rid of the device. So, Praetorian on guard. So this next section I talk about. So I walked around with my fellow Praetorians as Spartan 6 was talking to a prisoner warden near Mosul. I kept my eyes and ears open because I was because what at the time, like sometimes what happens is.
This is good intel.
This is good intel. What happens is I get removed from being a translator for the colonel because somebody else is doing it now. An Iraqi, right, is doing it. So it's perfect. So now I just hang out and I just listen.
And you're getting bird's eye at this point.
Yeah, bird's eye view of everything, right? Getting the feel of the room and all that, which was great. So I kept my eyes and ears on the Iraqi police because they were it was a very, very corrupt organization that a lot of insurgents have infiltrated, and they don't wear uniforms sometimes. Actually, there's one time we actually stumbled on 3 who claimed they were Iraqi police, but we, again, there's no database. You don't know. They're walking around with 3 AKs, approaching a village, and we stop them, and we friggin', they gave up right away. We took away their weapons, and we're like, yeah, we don't know who you are. Take a hike, and it's just, you don't know.
You had to feel it out, basically.
Yeah,
take
exactly.
a chance.
I mean, you could tell they were full of shit. And you're like, yeah, all right.
But then, like, again, the enemy, right? They're learning your procedures. They're learning what you're looking for.
Exactly.
You don't know if they're going to adapt to that.
Exactly.
Counter intel type of shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, walking around with the warden, they were talking. I'll never forget, walking by a room in this Iraqi prison, and I looked to the left, and there's a chair with a battery and wires hooked up to this chair. I'm like, interesting. I'm like, all right, let us keep walking. So
my type of shit.
Yeah, right. So a male subject walked by me. He had a Glock pistol in his hands, but he was hiding it at the small of his back.
Yeah.
So he's walking up, and I'm like, I see this.
Was it concealed, or was it like, oh, it's in the small of my back?
No, like literally, it was like this, not concealed.
Okay.
Not concealed. He was holding it.
Weird.
Exactly. So, and he's walking towards our battalion commander, the commander of the guard, the prison, shit like that. And he's just walking like nonchalant, right? And right away, I yell at him, stop, in Arabic, don't take another step. And my gun was,
at the ready.
At the ready. And the Praetorians see that. And I'm talking in Arabic, and they all adjust. They're like, oh, shit.
Fuck.
Kafel's got something.
Right.
So...
Natural.
So he froze in his tracks. I told him drop the gun and step back before I shot him. I literally told him that in Arabic. I said, put the gun down or I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Puts the gun down. He complied. Warden quickly shouted that the male subject was one of his Iraqi police as part of the protective detail. I was like, well...
he was just in civvies?
He was in civvies. No identifications.
Smart.
Nothing. So... That would have ended badly, right?
Yeah.
And it's a perceived threat. And
it would have been fine for you at the end of the day.
My
right?
ROEs, the ROEs at the time in 2005, hostile intent, hostile action. That's it.
Right.
So I may have perceived a hostile intent. He's going into the red zone,
and I engaged,
and that's it. So it's kind of like when you do these protective details in a war zone with a high-ranking official, you want to think of it as nearly as much as like the president with his Secret Service.
Sure.
There's the red zone. You never go within that red zone.
We know this. You've done it. I've done it. Like, you cross that fucking into the red zone.
Yeah.
Different game.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, I mean, then I was thinking in my head, you know what? He might have been, the warden cleared him, but could have been an assassination attempt on the colonel.
Right.
Wasn't an Al-Qaeda terrorist that made it into the Iraqi police. So many questions were going through my head. He was eventually identified and let go, but these are the things that was going on in my head.
You're a threat until you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And to me, still, even to this day, he's still a threat to me.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I fucking warden says he's part of his guard or whatever.
He could be fucking in on it too.
But but here's the thing. Like, the protective detail around the warden were known, and their weapons were at the ready.
Oh.
Not like small of the bag,
right?
And I'm gonna walk up.
So he was completely different than everything that you had seen. He stuck out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. And that's me being the bird's eye.
Exactly.
Outside.
Yep.
So those are, that was a very, very hairy situation right there. And there were times I suspected certain Iraqis I spoke with there were there to do more harm than good. I found it frustrating that Iraqis did not have the concept of fighting for their country.
What do you mean by that? I read that earlier, and I was
so they would fight for a religious figure, dictator, or an ideology, right?
Okay.
So let's say the Sunnis, right? They fight against the Shiites.
Yeah.
Shiites fight against the Sunnis, and that's it. But within the Sunni and the Shiite, there's also different factions that are
infighting.
Okay. All right. Now you have the Iraqi police who are supposed to, or the Iraqi army even, who are supposed to be the protectors of the country, but they don't like this faction,
right?
And that faction doesn't like them. Now you put these two guys in the same unit, what are they going to do? They're going to try to kill each other.
Of course.
Right? So they had no concept of fighting for their country, unlike us, right? Where it didn't matter where I'm from, even as cops, right? We all have a common cause, a common goal, a common mission, right? So
we operate under the flag.
Exactly. That's all we know.
Right.
I bleed blue, I bleed green, I
right.
bleed red, white, and blue.
Right.
That's it. so one day we were talking to some Iraqis, like a squad of Iraqi police. And I pointed out to them that my squad I was on, we were made up of people of all races and religions. I had to explain that we fought for each other and our country. I think the next one is going to be a picture of me talking to those Iraqis. If you have that up. Yeah, there you go.
All sweaty.
Dude, it was hot.
Fucking savage. Look at you.
It was hot. So I'm sitting there talking, and I tell them, I said, I was asked several times by Iraqis, why did I join the U.S. military? My response was always the same. I joined to help and separate the bad Arabs from the good ones. It's something I needed to do when the U.S. went to war in the Middle East. I knew my country needed someone like me, American service member, who were about to step into American service members were about to step into that world that is very, very tough for them to understand. Here's the thing, like anything, the Middle East is a very enclosed society. Right. It has a lot of quirks, a lot of
moving parts.
Tons. Religion is at the front and forefront of everything, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, whatever. It's the forefront. It's the law over there.
Look, so I have a couple of questions and a couple of observations too.
Yep.
So the religious aspect.
Yep.
They were fighting more for the religious aspect.
Yeah.
Now, in a way, don't take it the wrong way. I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because religion, we know, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but religion is a form of control.
Yeah.
Right? So you're in an area of the world that's divisive.
Yeah.
It's explosive, right?
Yeah.
Religion is going to bond you together.
Yeah.
Right? So I could see as little kids, I've said it to you before, like we could brainwash our kids into just about anything.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's any parent.
Yeah.
Once they get to that theta state, the brain state, then they kind of think on their own.
That's why
right?
my son thinks a lot of people are mutants, because I don't like a lot of people. So he's learning to call people mutants, which I'm very proud of.
So it's awesome. So I could see them. That's the way they grew up. That's all they knew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And their religion was the only thing that they could fall back on.
Exactly.
When they didn't have food.
Well, when
they didn't have
when they didn't understand why something happened. It's the
religion.
It's God's way. It's God's road or whatever. And I've actually spoken to some young Iraqi kids. You're talking 9, 10, 11-year-olds, when I do my village stuff and whatever. And they tell me, they'll, let's say they were Sunnis, and they'll say, oh, Shiites, we don't talk to them. They're dirty,
and
nasty
they didn't know why.
Didn't know why. They would just say they're dirty, nasty people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're fucking dirty and nasty.
No, I'm clean.
Yeah, right. So it's like a hoarder. But it's like you go into a hoarder's house and he says nothing. What? Really? I'm hoarding?
Right.
There's nothing wrong here.
You're the hoarder.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not the hoarder.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, oh my God. And I pointed that out to the Iraqis, where I'm like, listen, look at my squad. You have Japanese, you have Chinese, you have white, you have me, Middle Eastern. You have all sorts of different people fighting for the same cause, which is fighting for each other.
Knowing the culture.
Yes.
Let me ask you the question. Were they surprised and like, did you open their eyes by that? Or were they like, look at these fucking idiots?
They're so enclosed. Again, thousands of years of that in
beaten
their DNA.
Into them. Yep.
That is the very fabric of their DNA. And that's something that's going to take generations to
overcome.
Change, and it's never going to change. I'll tell you that right now. It's never, ever going to change, because you see it even here in the U.S. Friggin', you got some Southerners that's still pissed off they lost the Civil War.
Yeah.
I mean, just bring it here.
It's never going to fucking change.
It's never going to change. So some people that still...
Wait, bias training doesn't work?
Checkbox training. Yeah. That's what that
fucking
is.
Idiots.
Checkbox. It's all right. I'll take my day out of the office and learn about bias.
About nothing?
Yeah.
Wasting taxpayer fucking money?
Exactly.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Blood all right, here we go. Hey,
going up.
Listen, doctor already told you keep your blood pressure low. And there you go. There you go.
Keep going. Oh, here's the other question I had on this picture.
Yep.
So I know Middle Eastern, it's a generalized statement, but I know Middle Eastern, Middle Eastern cultures like to get up close.
Yes.
How were they? Did it surprise them when you started speaking Arabic?
Yep.
And were they like, did they drop their guard and they get
Yeah,
close to you and all that?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
They became more comfortable. That's why I was so close.
That's
to
why
them.
that's what I'm noticing here.
And again, like you said, we're very animated in how we talk. Right. Because so it's funny. Like I'll when I was growing up, I'll like when my mother and dad or whatever, we talk loud at a barbecue.
Yeah.
And
people think outside that you're arguing.
Yeah, we're arguing. Right. Oh no, we're not arguing. We're just talking.
Yeah, my mom just told me that she loved me.
Yeah, exactly. That's how she sounded like she wants to skin you alive.
Right.
Oh no. This is my mom telling me. You're like, holy.
What the fuck was that?
I know that sounds like, dude. Is she gonna fight you? Like, no. She just told me she loved me.
Yeah, she's got a knife, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing. Like my again, culturally, like mother talks to me. She's cutting up the vegetables, and she'll point the knife while she's talking to me.
Yeah.
Well, this and this and this, and you're like. Oh, okay.
Well, the reason I'm asking that, right, is like a lot of the soldiers that you were with didn't know a lot of these things. I'm sure they were introduced a little bit.
Yeah.
But when they would see you be comfortable with a guy standing, that's your space.
Yeah. And that's
your space.
They get comfortable.
They're like, okay, Ayman's cool with it.
Yeah.
We're cool with it. And then they the hand gestures and all that shit.
Like the Iraqi guy with the gun small as back.
Yeah.
I kept my distance.
Right.
I said, you're not fucking coming near me.
Right.
Drop your shit.
So your guy saw that and was like, oh, that's a fucking threat.
That's why their guns trained that way too. Because even though I was not speaking English, because I had to address it right away.
Yeah.
Again, freaking anger language speaks everywhere. So they knew exactly that there was a threat.
Yeah.
And Ayman's eyes and gun is laser focused at this fucking guy, and so are we now. So and I felt bad for the battalion commander because here he is talking to the warden, and he's confused, like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, what's this clusterfuck?
And again, what I enjoyed about the battalion commander is he let us do our thing. Didn't step in. All right, just do,
take care of business.
Take care of business. You're taking care of me, and that's all. You guys did. So it was such a bizarre experience.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was both wonderful and terrible, because one terrible side, you see how terrible humans are to each other, especially the passion of religion comes in. It's something out of this world.
Of course it is.
Out of this world.
Which I'm surprised in the States here, because of how different the cultures are. Yeah. I'm surprised that religion doesn't take more of a precedence. Like, I know people are like, okay, there's Catholicism and you know what I mean? There's Christianity. It's always in the back of somebody's mind. I'm surprised that it's not more prevalent here.
I think because here, a lot of these people who come to the United States, they're trying to escape that sort of oppression.
Right. Okay.
Right. They're trying to make something of themselves, because overseas, you really don't get anywhere
without your religion.
And sometimes it may feel like your religion's holding you back because you can't do certain things.
Right.
Well, I'm not, and again, it's the religious leaders using religion to oppress the people, even though in reality, religion keeps you at an open mind. Like it's supposed to.
Well, it's supposed to, in reality.
Enlighten you and stuff like that. But when religious leaders, now here's the thing, in the Middle East.
Human beings.
Yeah, human beings. In the Middle East is a very, very high illiteracy rate. 80 to 90%, something crazy like that. So
I know where you're going with this.
You have a population that can hardly read and write. So what do these corrupt religious fanatics do that know how to read and write? They will say, well, the Bible or the Quran or whatever or the Torah says this.
Whatever, yeah.
All right. You're going to take your word for it.
You're relying on me.
Exactly.
Now it's he who holds the gold.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I'm holding the gold.
Exactly.
I'm controlling Ayman and his village.
I remember in Mosul, overhearing the mosque, they have loudspeakers because, again, the mosques there are massive. You're talking hundreds of thousands of people that go there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the churches down south, right? It's a whole stadium seating and everything. And I would hear them, I remember sitting at the rooftop of Mosul, me and my guys smoking cigars, drinking fake beer, and literally near beer. So, we're just talking and playing spades or whatever.
Oh, I have some cigars for you too, by the way, but go on.
Okay. So I remember listening to this guy, and he would talk about the evil that's infecting Iraq. and meaning the U.S. soldiers,
Yeah.
right? So this is at afternoon prayer time. So what is this guy doing? He's ramping up the people.
Exactly.
So as soon as prayer leaves, they're in their head, they're gonna be like, oh, these fucking just because he's getting them pumped up for the fight.
Yep.
They
don't know any better.
They don't know any better because that's a religious figure to them who's telling them truth to them.
The concept, not to get all religious, but the concept behind religion.
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
I like, I believe in certain things. You believe in certain things, right? I can't stand when a human starts touching things.
Yeah.
They fucking ruin it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Again, religion is flawed because humans are flawed.
Exactly.
So
but it's like a paradox almost, right? Because it's created by humans.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to kind of be open and have our own religion and our own faith and all this stuff. But the second that, I always used to make fun of even the Greek church.
Yeah.
Say, I'm kind of sick of leading my life by what old Greek men tell me to do.
Yeah.
Because they think it's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to insult them.
Yeah.
Like, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all in subject for
interpretation.
That's the thing. Even as cops, right?
Yeah.
The law.
Yep.
Each of us interpret a certain law certain ways. Lawyers do the same thing.
Exactly.
So, and that's why as cops, we have this powerful word called discretion.
Yeah.
Right? It's
one of our most powerful words.
Yeah, exactly. So with religion, there is no discretion.
Right.
This is the way. Now, to me, I've always said, like, I don't need religion to tell me. I have my own moral compass.
Right.
I don't need religion to tell me I can't kill that dude.
Well, same thing with the law, right?
Same thing with the law.
I don't need a law to tell me that I can't kill somebody.
Yeah, exactly. So some of us are already born and predispositioned with this high moral compass that that will be with us for the rest of our lives.
But that's also indicative of how we grew up.
Yeah.
Right? Because if Ayman stayed, let's say you were from Iraq and you stayed in the village in Iraq, that's all you knew.
No, that's all. Exactly.
That's all you knew.
Exactly.
And one motherfucker said, oh, I could take advantage of all these people in this village.
That's exactly what happened.
Right?
With Al-Qaeda, with ISIS, with all of them. That's what they do. They go into these villages, and that's what they do. They
brainwashing.
They recruit young, soldier-aged men to do their work.
Do you see it here?
No. Well, so I'll give you this, right? So when I was growing up here, I'm not going to get into like exact locations or anything. I went to a local mosque, and this local mosque I never used to like. My dad used to force me to go.
Yeah.
I never liked it because on the Friday nights, it's like, Fridays in Islam is like Sunday for Christianity.
Okay.
That's like
it's the holy day.
It's the holy day. So Friday nights they do prayer, and then you can sit there, shoot the shit with people, and kind of like a get together, whatever. So I remember being there on a Friday night, and I'll never forget that I was overhearing this argument between two religious figures.
Mm-hmm.
One of them said, "If you're not a Muslim, you deserve to die."
This is why I'm asking these things.
No. So to answer your question, yes. It does happen here because one of my old friends actually became a terrorist.
No shit.
Yeah.
Like went overseas.
Yeah. He went overseas. His name was, he actually got killed. Ahmed Shamsuddin. No, not Shamsuddin. I'll have to look up his name. Sorry, I don't want to
CIA
say the
will
wrong
contact
name.
you.
Yeah. I don't want to say his last name wrong. But anyways, so he was someone that was radicalized by somebody in the U.S. that caused him to go overseas to do what he did.
So you've seen how easy it is there.
Yeah.
You see how easy it can be here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
Do you think that politics here is replacing religion?
So
the fanaticism. This is why it's all clicking in my head.
Yeah. So before we touch that, I wrote an article about that.
Oh, you did?
I called it "Politicians Are the New Extremists."
Oh, I want to do that next show.
All right, so next show we'll get into that. Okay. All right, next show we'll get into that.
But you see where I'm getting with that, and I naturally gravitated towards that from everything that we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and we will do that on another show because it's going to tie it all in.
Yep. Okay.
So with the fanaticism and everything. So
next show, guys, we're going to do that one.
Yeah. One thing though about that kid that was my friend. If you recall years ago when a couple guys wanted to go shoot up the North Attleboro Mall.
Yes.
Do you remember
I know that very well. Yeah.
That was one of my friends.
Really?
He was that one that was planning this whole thing. But, he ended up getting caught, and the FBI was looking for him.
Right.
He went to, here's how crazy he was. He went to Afghanistan to join up Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda thought he was too extreme for them. They wouldn't even take him.
They're like, this motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah.
We don't want him.
But ISIS took him. He became ISIS. He became ISIS's social media guy. I felt terrible for his mom and dad. His dad, fucking awesome dude, doctor, nicest guy in the world. Mother, sweetest pie.
You can't control what the kids are doing, dude.
But at that specific mosque, I truly feel that there was a lot of radicalization going on there. You could see it, you could feel it.
And this is one mosque.
One mosque.
Again, it takes me back to even in the churches here.
Yeah.
Right? You go into the church and they tell you what you should be thinking.
Yes.
As opposed to thinking for yourself. I'm not dogging the church.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good in the Muslim community, a lot of good in the Christian community.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But that's what my point is. Like, maybe we should be thinking a little bit more for our fucking selves.
Well, that and maybe we should pay attention to when our kids tell us, like when I used to tell my parents, I do not like going there. Well, there might be a reason why.
Right.
There was this fantastic book I read years ago. I still have it. It's about basically this kid in Britain being radicalized into Islam and then getting out of it. And he wrote a book about it.
Where he got radicalized into Islam and got out.
No. So he's Muslim.
Yeah.
Went to mosque, got radicalized at mosque.
Okay.
But then he pulled himself out because he realized he was going down a dark path.
This is fucked up. And
he wrote a book about it. Phenomenal book.
Really?
Phenomenal book. Because here's the thing, like reading it, I could see it. Like, at places I've been. Right. With the radicalization and how these people, like they will hook into kids and feed them
the easiest thing in the world, man.
Exactly.
Again, a young kid, politics.
A young kid as a teenager in high school and stuff like that. How easy is it to influence?
A young kid in high school it can have their own thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Imagine doing it from like my little ones, your kid.
Yeah.
Like, we bring it back to Rona.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could have kept these kids in the fucking basement for a year and told them there's a sick bug out there.
Yeah.
And they would have fucking believed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. We were told the same shit.
Yeah.
Radical Islam is told the same shit.
Yep.
Radical Christians are told the same shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a human condition.
Here's the thing. Again, like I always say, at war, I learned about the radicalism of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, fucking
everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, again, the Middle East is like the birthplace of all these religions.
Yeah.
It's the birthplace. So their views are so extreme, and they've been fighting for so long over these views.
Yep.
And for me to come over and say, hey, you need to change. Again, that's going to be generations, generation upon generation upon generation.
Or genocide.
Genocide, yeah. The way ISIS was doing, cleaning house.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just wiping villages out.
And what ISIS did was very successful at doing it,
and it brought it back. Probably 500 years.
Oh my god, yeah. Whatever. Some of the saddest scenes I saw when ISIS was invading Iraq was the same exact Iraqi army and police outpost that we used to go to a lot was overrun by ISIS. I was like, God damn. Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ. So that's one thing another thing that I won't forget,
right.
As a result is because seeing that sign and seeing them go down there, I'm like, oh my God, soldiers have died protecting that.
Right.
We've gone over there fighting.
And now we lost it.
Because of this movement. And the U.S. is
brilliant movement from the tactical and logistical side.
Oh yeah,
right. I'm not saying that ISIS was a good move.
No,
easy fucking people.
But I blame the foreign policy
Yep.
that we had in place at the time for this type of movement to happen. Now, should we be there? Should we be fighting? No, whatever. I don't care. But here's the thing: as a U.S. soldier, as a veteran who fought over there and
Yep.
who's lost friends over there, I would have gladly picked up my M4 again and gone back there and wiped fucking ISIS out.
Absolutely.
And you saw it. You saw a lot of young Americans who are veterans go over there to fight with the Kurds.
Yep.
You saw that because they knew they had that duty. They knew what was the fighting for. You know.
They knew the end result.
Yeah.
If they didn't fight.
Yeah.
It's kind of like here. Like, if we didn't fight here, what was it? 3% of the population decided to fucking cause a revolution?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
If you're not going to do it, who is?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's the thing. If not me, then who?
Who?
That's the thing. So, let me get to the ending of this. I know we kind of sidetracked a little.
It's all right. Sure, people enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. So one day, I mean, this is one thing that I kind of got me mad too, being overseas fighting. One day I called home, talked to my sister. She told me of this man who, in a pickup truck, who tried to run my mother off the road because she was dressed traditional Middle Eastern headwear. And she has a thick accent. And a thought flashed through my mind, why the hell am I out here fighting for a country that doesn't care about my family or my culture? I was angry that within the Middle Eastern community, I faced backlash over joining the U.S. military and fighting in the Middle East. To me, I was surrounded by quote-unquote enemies on both sides of the pond.
Right.
Whether the enemy was racism or terrorism, I was surrounded by it. Racism wasn't just from a fellow American, but also those within the Middle Eastern community. And mind you, at my time of war, I was still a green card holder. I wasn't a U.S. citizen just yet.
Yep.
It was after my service that I became a U.S. citizen. The only reason why I didn't become yet, INS lost my file. So they had to look for it in the deepest, darkest corner of the JFK building in order to get it.
Fucking deep, dark corners.
Yeah. So I became a citizen after war.
Right.
You know, and that was thanks to George Bush and his policy, George Bush Jr., who said
fought for the fucking country.
Well, exactly. He said and when he realized there was a lot of U.S. Service members with green cards, he said, no. That's unacceptable. No more. You guys are going to be citizens. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
You're first in line.
Exactly. And that's what exactly happened, which, again, thank you, Mr. President. That was a very good move on his part.
But you mentioned the racism thing, right?
Yeah.
I get it. This is where I'm going to say that I'm not going to say I disagree with you, right? Because there is racism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything we can do about it.
No.
That specific incident. So the dickhead tried to run your mom off the road.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think there's anything we can do about it here.
No.
As fluffy and fucking nice as we think we are.
Yeah.
You always come back to the realization, being people from other parts of the world, that happens everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
And but, I bring it up because at the time, again, I was at war and pissed me off. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, here I am doing what I'm doing out here to protect everyone back home from these fucking terrorists and these,
And at home, they have the luxury of trying to run my mom off the road.
Exactly. Where they're not dealing with the threats I deal with every single day.
I get it.
And the Iraqi public themselves, there was a lot of innocence. I mean, they had to deal with it all the time. Whether it was coming from the U.S., Al-Qaeda, rogue IPs, Iraqi police, rogue Iraqi army, friggin' different militias, militants. Like the number was crazy. Like in terms of the amount of different factions that were there in Iraq. You had the Iranian-backed factions. You had the Syrian-backed factions. You had the Ba'athist Party that was still active at the time. You had so many. You had Al-Qaeda of Iraq, Al-Qaeda of Afghanistan. Like you had the Chechens. You had. It
what
was
a movie! Like what a huge machine.
Yeah, I mean massive. And then you have the Allied forces, the U.S., the British, the Australian, the Canadian, the French, the Bulgarians, who else did we have? The Italians, like the massive amount of Allied forces there too, sharing the common goal. And I used to remember we had to deconflict a lot with all these other forces to make sure we're not hitting the same places and stuff like that. So it was
an enormous job.
Yeah. So I mean, as me being speaking Arabic over there, it was also a difficult thing for a 22-year-old to decide who's good or who's bad, and who's to make sure my squad and my battalion and my brigade get the right intel to be safe.
I get it, dude.
Yeah. So it was quite the experience.
I totally get it. Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
In a heartbeat.
Oh, in a heartbeat. Yep, absolutely.
I believe that.
Yep, absolutely. So,
well, what are we fighting for? You know what I mean? We have to maintain this shit.
Exactly.
So So we're gonna do that other article next week.
We'll do it next.
Can't fucking wait.
We'll do it next.
Can't
week.
wait.
You'll like it. You'll like it.
Awesome, dude.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. So that's the end of the article. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, different perspective other than law enforcement kind of time in Iraq and war and whatnot.
Look, it all ties in.
Yeah.
It all ties in.
Yeah.
You know, like I've done trainings with people that were over there. We're not going to talk names or anything like that, but a lot of the things that were over there are slowly seeping their way over here.
Yeah.
Might not be as extreme, but they are.
Yeah.
And we need to realize that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, guys, listen. Thank you. Awesome. Ayman, that was an awesome couple of articles, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
So, listen, we're going to thank our supporters, HavocJournal.com, GymJunkies.com, Vector Shields, WellnessForWarriors.live, LiveBoston617.org. We love you guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.
Bye.